Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Do you know, sometimes in life you just have to kick back and say, it's pretty good right now. England stuff Ireland at Twickenham on Saturday, Stokes saves the Ashes on Sunday, and the band is back together on House of Rugby. How are you, Lord?
Very well.
Nice
Refreshed from a summer break. Upset that I didn't make the first couple of shows.
Yeah.
Just didn't fit in. But
Wow.
I'm glad to be
little
back.
bit of Balmoral, a little bit of QE2, a
Well,
little bit of...
you've got to keep the family happy.
You do.
Can I just ask a question? Because you say you missed the first few shows, but I heard it was down to a breakdown in negotiations with Joe because you stipulated, like the rest of your mob, you had to get a private jet everywhere. Is that right? Or
Completely incorrect, you know that. I'm very carbon neutral. I'm a train. You're the guy.
How'd you get
guy
carbon
who gets
neutral?
a chauffeur to drive you down here.
how do you get carbon neutral? What, you have to get Elton John to offset it, or is
That's
it?
true.
Is
I
it?
think it's 175 quid.
Because he
for a private
offsets all
jet.
my stuff as well, which is fine because it definitely works.
So, fans of heavy breathing nationwide will be absolutely delighted that the trio is reunited once again. The Lord on the left, my left. The man putting the bell into Bellator this week.
Bell into Bellin, probably. I would have thought.
You broke the internet.
Did I?
Well, I mean
it's
along the lines.
Wreck-It Ralph. You got in there, didn't you?
I call it a small
Virused
ripple, a minor ripple.
What in God's name are you doing? Can you just explain to the nice people
do
who
you
don't
want
know what you've been,
So
what you've signed
I've
up
agreed to fight in Bellator, which is kind of rival to the UFC. It's MMA,
Well,
mixed martial arts.
Well, it's basically the Vauxhall Conference, if that still exists.
Absolutely, it's not. It's the Premier League. It's the Champions League. It's like the top 14. And basically, yeah, I've agreed to do it. I think it's very interesting, the reaction, because actually, Charlie, you're right.
Sorry.
the Johnson's Paint
Who's
Trophy.
fucking laughing? Listen, let's be very clear. For all those absolute keyboard warriors out there, and people keep offering me out, I'm not very good at fighting. I don't think I'm very fucking tough. However, by the time I get into the cage, I'd like to think I'm going to be in a good
What
place.
is the time scale?
I mean, at the moment, it's open-ended, really. It's when I'm comfortable. Look,
Are you actually? You know, Rio Ferdinand was like, "I'm going to become a boxer." Sponsored by. Are you actually going to get into the octagon?
I don't want to be earmarked with Flintoff or Ferdinand, because you know when Flintoff fought, it was like he'd never fucking had a fight before in his life. He'd never been punched in the face before. So I think, look, I'm actually genuinely taking this as serious as I took rugby. I think it's like people keep writing me on social media like, oh, you know, if you'd like to come down to my gym, my mate does a bit of judo, mate does this. I've teamed up with guys at London Shoot Fighters who I've known for the last 20 years. They are unbelievably professional, unbelievably ruthless at what they do. And I've already started training, and it's hard, and it's only going to get harder. And, you know, I think for me, the reason I did it was I missed the structure of playing rugby. I think that I'd done all I could do in rugby, obviously, before I wasn't able to carry on. I would have liked to go to World Cup, but I think the MMA stuff, there's a lot of motivation. Fear, I think, is probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
Because, you know, people in rugby and rugby fans, they put people on pedestals, they talk about tough people, but Tins will tell you that there's people we've played with that are genuinely tough, who are genuinely quite handy with you know what they're doing.
We're picking an Octagon 15.
Oh,
for our...
exciting.
Good.
I didn't get the memo, but so I'll be underprepared.
But
I am a serious operator, so... And by the way, the stash is
Merch
available. I'm testing it out this evening. And I take it really seriously. I think with Shoot Fighters, you know, I sat down with the guys before I decided to do it, and there's obviously a lot of kind of talking backwards and forwards that I want to do it. I want to, you know...
Are you going to be any good?
Mate, listen, I will give it the best I can, and I will literally, you know.
But what have you done so far in terms of?
So for years I've been doing wrestling, bits of jiu-jitsu, you know, bits of boxing and everything else like that. I've always done that. I've really enjoyed it. I was going to do the training anyway, and then when the Bellator opportunity came across, I said, you know what? I'd love to test myself. I'd love to see, you know, am I tough? Am I not tough? You know, what's the story? And I think that all the coaches from Shoot Fighters, I sat down with them, I talked to them about it. I said, listen, what's your vibe? Am I mad? And they felt that there was some real mileage in it. So I've just thrown myself into their hands. You know, I'm already training pretty much 3-4 times a week already.
Are you?
You know, by the time I get into the cage, will be dictated by kind of Bellator and by what my coaches at Shoot Fighters say and whether I'm ready. That kind of stuff's out of my hand. In this world, I've kind of gone back to being kind of an academy player. Really, I'm do as I'm told. I don't really have much of a input. But everything about this was to make sure that I. Go on another journey, really. I think what an exciting chapter. Whatever the result, whatever the impact, I've changed one sport to another. I'm going to go through the process. I'm obviously going to document it. We're going to talk about all the opportunities that come with it. And I think it's a real test, because a lot of people think they can fight or think they're tough. And the first time I went down to shoot fights, I went with Paul Doran Jones when we were 21, and we got put in the cage. The guy said,
so not 20 years ago.
Sorry, 20. However, how long ago? How long? 15 years ago.
36.
Or maybe actually it might have been even earlier. Whatever it was earlier, right? And I basically went in there and they said, look, we want to show you about some wrestling, we want to show you about techniques. They put me in the cage with this 50-kilo guy, right, wrestler, little bloke. And they said, right, what we do is wrestle him to the floor. So, you're young, full of testosterone, really rate yourself.
Young,
I think, a lot of people walk around because they're big, they think they're this and that. So I got in there and the bloke got around, took my back, threw me on the floor. I was like, it's a bit embarrassing. So I'm like, we'll crank it up. No punching, no kicking, just trying to get him down. He then did a single leg takedown, pulled me straight to the floor. And I was like, bollocks. Tapped in Doz, who's bigger than me at the time. He was about 120 kgs. And this bloke did a double leg takedown, picked him up above his head, 50 kilos, like Doz weighing nothing, and just stuffed him into the side of the cage like he was an envelope in a post box. So the guys called us out and said, listen, this guy's obviously, he turned out to be an Olympic wrestler, also turned out to be a Chechen freedom fighter. He had 3 bullet hole scars in him. So he was obviously hard as nails, but he was 50 kgs and he just absolutely dished us up. And for me, that was a real eye-opener. So, in terms of the way I've conducted myself since, you never know what people know and everything else. So whenever I bump into anyone, I'm very kind of tried to play it down, because you don't want to get filled in. So I'm excited that by the time I get into the octagon, I will be in a better place. I will have trained. I'll be in great shape. I pretty much feel like I'm heading towards some of the best shape of my life already.
Really?
Yeah, just because I'm controlling my own diet, I'm controlling my own training. I have a big bugbear with rugby clubs and overtraining and just flogging lads and breaking them before the season even starts. I'm pretty much able to do that. And the biggest thing with these guys that shoot fighters are not messing around. I've had a few conversations, made a few jokes.
Has anyone hit you yet?
Yeah, we've done a few bits of ground and pound stuff and everything else like that.
Have you got a good chin?
I don't know. Listen, in a heavyweight, anyone can get banged out at any single moment. Anyone can get chin doing anything. So
who was the guy that got done in the MMA the other day with the knee in the? Do you see that?
It might be the UFC one. The wrestler from the UFC. I can't remember. It
literally was 2.5 seconds.
Yeah. He's it begins with A, surname. He's
Ben
Askren. Askren, yeah. So he or something like that. Some keen.
Very good producer, Jack.
I mean, that's it. He's a wrestler. He talked it up and got filled in. So I think for me, the most important thing is this is like an exciting test. It's tough. Lots of people have been amazingly supportive. A lot of morons don't understand. Including fellow rugby players. So you're gonna get fucking killed, mate. You're gonna get. It's like, do you remember Mayweather's first fight? Do you remember Lennox Lewis's first fight? Do you remember fucking Conor McGregor's first fight? Do you remember? No. Because it's a progressive process. People are writing to me.
The problem is you've got the spotlight on you from the start.
But listen, I don't care about that. I will work at it as best as I can. I'll be prepared as best as I can. They're not going to fucking stick me in there with Czech Congo and watch me get killed. What's the point? I haven't gone into it. I've got it to be the best I can be at what I'm doing and to give it a go. And do you know what? It's another fucking story for the after dinner. It's another chapter of the autobiography. It's another adventure.
Cash money.
And we're taking care of some of the bank accounts.
I wrote down a few things.
What do you put?
Obviously, Bobby Boucher is going to be involved.
Yeah, get him fully rested.
We're getting the rope.
Get rope into.
He's brilliant as well.
Talking about 50-kilo men who can throw people around.
Yeah,
that's a very good shout.
Yeah, the rest of that Bobby. I then went, what style are you going to go for? Do you think you're going to be more of a stand-up banger?
I think it's obviously pretty early on to kind of talk about how I'm going to fight. The basic thing is whatever the coaches tell me to do. They've obviously looked at it. They obviously see my limitations, see what I can and can't do. So through that process, I'll come up with it. But
talking of limitation, I thought flexibility could be an issue.
Yeah, but things like that. But if you remember, look, every time I've done
Submission King, you literally get his arm.
Yeah, but
do you have a safe word?
Yeah, don't hurt me. No, but I think there's two interesting things about it. Is that there are those limitations, but obviously, when I've done this stuff before, you've done this and gone back to rugby. When you're in rugby and you go and say, I used to train with Margot Wells, train whatever else, you're always dictated to by your club. The only physical thing I have to worry about now is learning that stuff. There's no doing that and then trying to apply it to anything. It's just purely that. So when you train at something consistently, you will start to open up. You will start to be in a better place. Where I start now, I'm not fighting next week. It's a progressive process, and the whole idea is for me to, look, for Bellator, you can understand their kind of reasons for doing it. for mine, it's because I want to test myself, because I was going to do the training anyway, and I think it's an amazing opportunity that if I was going to die, once I've done it, I've pretty much tried to give my hand at everything.
They always say every man should prepare for a fight once in his life. I haven't done a lot of
No,
that.
you haven't.
No.
But you just shoot them with a dueling
Probably
pistol,
mad.
don't you, at 50 feet. I tell you, you run them through.
Slaps them with a glove.
Yeah, he slaps them with a glove and runs them through with a
All right, yeah.
sabre he keeps
But
in his
one
trousers.
thing you must know: walking track. Come on.
Do you know what? This was something I actually thought about the other day. I don't know what I would have for that. I don't think house music necessarily lends itself to that, so I might have to find
Something
something.
angry.
Yeah.
Angry sounding.
But I think as well, you know, that if you also, I imagine, you know, one of the biggest things when you actually get into a fight, and what I've seen from some of the training I've seen from being, you know, around the sport for a while, I used to do a show with BT all the time, going into interview fighters, training with fighters and everything else, was, you know, it's the calmest person that can keep his composure during kind of any fight that's going to be able to go through it. And
Rudyard Kipling.
Yeah, but it's like also, I don't know if it's Mike Tyson who ever said that everyone has a game plan until you get punched in the face.
Love that.
I mean, look, I don't know. You know,
in all fairness, someone squirts you with fucking water in the face.
oh, fuck, loads of
We've
shit.
got a little bit to learn in that department.
That's it. But again, I'm under
You cannot do that,
I cannot
sir.
do that. Sir. I'm under no illusion that that, you know, it's going to be one of those tough things. And I didn't ever wake up when I was younger and said, you know what, I want to be a fighter. I think it's going to be a progression. I just think I'm going to mentally give it everything I can do. And do you know what? We'll see how it goes.
What's Chloe made of it?
Thinks I'm completely fucking insane. I mean, also, I'd like to talk about all the ex-rugby players and current rugby players. Can everyone stop offering me out, please?
You've had Neil Best and Andy Powell so far. Anyone else?
Listen, I'm sure you boys are lovely chaps. You ain't fucking paying me, so I ain't fighting. It's very simple. It's not a thing. I don't, you know, I'm sure it's great, and I'm sure charity's going to raise some money. Charity starts at home, so stop inviting me out. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight anyone. I'm doing what my coaches tell me, and if they say fight someone, we'll fight someone, but not normally. I'm a lover. You know, I kill people with chat and humour, no punches.
I'm sure that's going to work in the
Can you do that in
although-
5 minutes?
We can do it.
Just
yeah,
dancing
like
around,
test.
talking to him.
I'll tell him one of your best stories and he'll fucking fall asleep and then I'll knock him out.
Perfect. Eddie Jones wants front row seats.
Yeah, I saw that. I was actually in camp.
Will you sort of, I know what we're going to come on to
Sorry,
that.
sorry.
Do you want to get to that now? Or do you
No.
want to quickly, will you sort Eddie out with some tickets?
Listen, I've already spoke to him. Yeah, he's fine. He's good.
Can we come along?
We're,
Yeah,
doing,
100%.
we're doing a live show. I feel it's going to be like, you know, in Friends where they sit down to watch Monica's bloke, whatever he was called, fight in the ring.
Oh, yes.
And he
Mike, is it
literally-
Mike, you know?
It was
Owen Farrell sent me the exact thing today. So I spoke to everybody
John
about it.
Favreau. Producer Jack's having a field day. John Favreau.
Yeah,
John
so
Farrell.
whatever his character's name is, that I spoke to Owen today. I hadn't spoken to him for a while because I knew he was going to be laughing.
Are you
'cause
friends again?
I've always been friends.
I know,
but
but
what after I kept involving in
There was a
social
moment
media,
where he
he was
said-
like, "Please leave me alone."
Wade, he's winning. Really? No!
So it was like that. So I texted him going, "Listen, you stopped laughing yet?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he sent me that picture, and I'd seen that episode, but I couldn't remember it. And Chloe was like, "Oh my god, I've had about 10 people send me that about you." So she's like, "Look, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and she'll support me." She thinks I'm mad doing, you know, 18 years of professional rugby and getting beaten up, then go back into it. I mean, I did a 2-hour wrestling session the other day, and you know, with big guys, obviously, and mate, by the end of it, my neck and my back, I couldn't walk the next day. Could not walk. And she's like, "I thought you wanted to leave this behind you." And I was like, "But something perverse about it. I quite like it. I quite like it. They're ruthless, these blokes. So when you're doing fitness, it's like they put you in a hole in a body bag, and you have to keep going and go again and go again. And it's kind of, you know, especially practicing, you know, disciplines like wrestling, like jiu-jitsu, it's a constant repetitive process. Same thing with boxing. You know, and it's hard and it's horrible. And you know, but it was kind of when I first turned up for the session, I looked at my stuff and I was like, because I want to get kit sponsors, I want to do all this kind of stuff. I'm like, you sort of turn up with your school bag, your green flash plimp soles, you know, a pair of Saints rugby shorts. You're like, hold on, man, I'm a bit underqualified for here. And all these blokes are pulling out all this special gear. So I'm having to like go back to school, get a little pot of Vaseline in my bag for all the stuff. It's mad. It is honestly mad. But I'm probably 8 or 9 sessions deep at the moment, and I'm loving it. And
I'm really excited. I'm actually excited to follow the journey.
It's a journey. Listen, life is a journey. I don't even think you get one chance. I think, you know, some religions think you're going to come back as something, or this is another opportunity. But I'm pretty certain this is all you get, and then when you die, you're dead, and you ain't coming back. So when someone presented me an opportunity like that, I said, "You know what? I'm going to test myself." And do you know what? If things didn't go well, I still put my hand up and said, I've done it. And I always respect those people who do the white collar boxing or actual professional boxing, because there are so many keyboard warriors and fucking fake tough guys that it takes a lot to get in and actually fight. So even those guys who go in and get battered, they're giving it all, and because it's horrible. Most men think they're tough until someone actually knows what they're doing. You throw your big right haymaker, and the guy slips underneath it. You're like, "Where's he gone?" And he takes your chin. You're like, when you're woken up, with no shoes and belt on you because you've been left in the street. It's,
My dear brother-in-law's done 3 of those at the Boodles boxing. He's 0-3.
Oh God!
Keeps coming back, Stan. Keep
he
grubbing up, Stan. You'll get there one day, my son.
As soon as he gets that win, he's out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Carried out on his shield. Remarkable. Amazing story.
But
Get
listen,
on, yeah.
Would you expect anything less? You know what I mean?
No, you weren't ever going to tuck into a pair of slippers and a pipe.
Do you know what it is? I mean, the DJ. Like, I think people say if I was. And also,
How are you going to keep all this? How are you going to keep these plates
do you know what
spinning?
it is? It's because I don't have to peak every week. That's what people don't understand. It's completely
There's
different.
another slogan for Hask. I don't have to
There's a new
peak every
t-shirt,
week.
man.
Yeah, I don't have to peak. There is
Don't peak every week.
Don't peak every week. There's no need to that. So obviously, sometimes DJing is not necessarily a conducive lifestyle to being professional, but you've got that time and freedom to be able to do it. And I think for me, it's kind of a nice thing. At least I've got now a routine. I'm back with the lads, having chat, albeit not so aggressive as I used to be, because everybody in the entire gym can fill me in.
Right.
That's the problem.
Do you have to work on your trash talk as much as you have to work on your?
I'm not really going to go for
press?
that. I'm not really going to go for that.
Are you going to be the nice guy of
I just
Bellator?
think I think it'd be so unusual when you sit there and go,
I'm just so happy to be here.
Yeah.
So I'd just like to thank
But
Bellator
that's gonna
for
be
the
really
Taking
hard.
media
opportunity.
training from Saints and Wasps into the. I mean, where like Conor McGregor's saying he's going to rip out hearts.
That's
and
what
children.
I mean. But it's like David Hay turning up to a press conference with a T-shirt of a severed head and stuff like that. It's like you can't. I think it's
Your
very
mum.
weird for us as rugby players to go. You're going to sit down opposite and go, listen, I'm going to take it. I'm going to bang him out. He's nothing. I'm going to do him. I'd be just like, well, listen, I think he's a lovely guy and obviously training really hard, really looking forward. Because you can't. It's not in me to mug someone else off.
Is he going to survive? Have you ever been offered anything like this? What have you ever done? You've done skiing and have you done charity fight?
I did get asked to do Boodles, but I was like, I've just had a new nose. I'm just going to bypass that.
Possibly put that
If you'd
into
have asked
the
me
ring.
a bit ago, it might have been a free job for me. Straighten it out for me.
Is he gonna get-
It does intrigue me to do something, but no, I
not fighting.
probably wouldn't do it. I don't quite have the aspiration of the Hask.
Or the aspiration.
The aspiration.
If you've somehow stumbled across this and you've no idea what it is you're watching or listening, welcome to House of Rugby. Brought to you by Joe, together with our very good friends at Guinness, this week discussing Bellator, which is fairly standard as this show tours. News of a live event, it says on my script. On Tuesday, September the 17th, House of Rugby will be coming live from the Prince in Earl's Court.
Right at you.
It'll be a World Cup preview. Apparently I'm going to be there. Tins, Hask, are you confirming you're coming on?
I'm 100% there.
Are you? That's very good news.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't be a
Tickets-
live show without me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
House of Rugby live at the Prince in Earl's Court, September the 17th. A World Cup preview. Hask, Tins, myself, plus other special guests. Tickets available from 9 a.m. on Friday morning, so keep an eye on Joe's social channels for details of how to purchase. And we'll put a link up on the House of Rugby Facebook group. It says chat Hask with England last week. Do you want to go straight to that now? Or do
Yeah,
you
we
want to
can
talk Ireland? Someone's frothing. Someone is frothing at the opportunity
Frothing at
to...
No gloating here.
No gloating?
No.
That's not what happened
Even
in the
though
learning.
even though if you do
The social media swipe up to subscribe was a little
Do you want to put
over exaggerate that.
just make that very clear that Tins has gone in so hard on the social media clips that it's bound to razz a few people up. But actually, he did something earlier today, and you were
very balanced,
contrite,
about
weren't you? Balanced.
Yes,
but balance
Well, no,
doesn't sell shows.
Do you feel vindicated, or actually? I mean, Joe Schmidt came out today and said we were dire. We've got a lot to do.
It's not about vindication. It's about the fact that for a while I have seen them very one-styled, and unfortunately, people have sort of figured out if they put pressure on them, what can they do? I thought the 10 who played Byrne, isn't it?
Ross Byrne, yeah.
Not sure. He's quite.
He's
up
such
to
a
it.
tidy player. Like he's
but
sort of a horror afternoon for him.
But it's those things that if you stop Irish forwards going forward, but it didn't help, to be fair, that their line-out was an absolute shambles generally, which you don't expect from Ireland, and I don't think you'll get it again this week against Wales. But they just had no go forward. Furlong, I'm not even going to say his first name because we'll go into that thing again. Tad. He just got manhandled. They all got manhandled. It was. And
So when players say, the argument is that they're a week behind Wales and England on their heavy loading. When you've been through that phase, how hard is it to then slip into your boots and run out at Twickenham in front of 80,000?
It's still hard. Like if you are on full training, because your gas tank's quite empty. Yeah,
we did that. You know, that's in 2015. Went well.
You had 2 dire games against the French.
Yeah, so that second French one, we were training all the way through up, still doing something called MAS running, mass running, which is horrific, on the Thursday. And the problem is, you know, even personally about my own career, one of the worst things you can ever do post a game when you haven't played well is go, in my mind, oh, well, listen, the referee had done that. But the thing is, I was a bit tired today. And actually, you know, if he'd passed that to me, I would have done what? You're just making excuses. So if you win, then you can look to improve. But if you're literally coming out with anything like, oh, you know, I didn't think so-and-so played well, if he passed that, the rest of the back row hadn't gone well, and I was a bit tired, everyone thinks you're just talking shit.
Yeah.
So I tried to always avoid that. And the problem is that in that French game, we were hanging.
Is this the one in Paris?
Yeah, it's the one in Paris. Oh, yeah, terrible. My Sips came on and saved the day.
Yeah.
We were knackered, but... You know, you can say all you want, oh, we're in a heavy loading week, but nobody really cares, especially diehard fans. Listen, if you watch anything with professional sport, all most fans see is the highlight reel. That's why anyone who scores a try, they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
You know, if someone puts a big hit in, it's the best thing ever. But they don't look at the nuances and the bits and pieces of it. So if you turn around and say, it's heavy loading, they're like, what do you mean heavy loading?
My issues with them from the weekend, Ireland, defensively, they were shocking. If you look at their organisation, they just literally either crap themselves about Manu, which is why Manu, in my opinion, has to play 13.
At 13, not 12?
He has to play 13.
Interesting, because your old centre partner thinks he plays at 12.
But the problem is, if he plays at 12 and he runs those lines, he's generally running into a 7. And 7s will generally make those tackles. Whereas when he's one out wider, he's running at 10s, so your 12 is panicking about it. He wants to protect his 10.
That's a very good point. I wish I'd had that up the sleeve last week.
England opened them up 3 times from set piece moves. Obviously, with Coconacina throwing in a physical threat as well, they just bit in on Manu on every dummy line he ran, and even when they, you know, from a right-handed scrum where you have the 9 on your as your inside defender, they still.
This is Coconacina's first?
Well, actually, I was on the side, so the 9 was round. Yeah, Coconacina went through the middle. They all just jumped in, and then they got tight all the time. So for the 2 tries where they scored in the corner, they were tight. Manu's try was a bit fortunate in terms of it went to ground, and that was basically the bounce of the ball. But you know how they started with their first try, where they actually gave the ball a bit of air. I was like, "Ooh, here we go. They might actually throw the ball around a bit." And then they went back to 1-out runners, no tip runners, and you know our boys just got in their face and smashed them basically.
3 empty vessels in front of us. I know Murray's not here, but if there's anyone out there listening who might be able to bring us a Guinness,
an SOS,
very much appreciated. So, with that in mind, how good were England? How bad were Ireland? Where do you draw the line? Oh, is it coming home? Can we all agree that we can rewrite the words?
Or I think, look, these warm-up games are brilliant. I think everything. You know, we talked a little bit about it last week's show. You know, World Cup rugby is completely unique in the way it stands for so many factors. Not even just how the team are performing, you know, the being away from home, the stress, the intensity, the media scrutiny, you know, that can be an issue because you get people who write about stuff they don't normally write about, and that can have a massive factor on how teams perform. But I actually think, you know, England, I went into camp the other day, I was very lucky, I got invited by Eddie, which kind of in a personal experience was almost quite cathartic, because when it came to watching rugby or watching.
So Eddie dropped your text and said, would you like to come in?
No, I mean, look, I talk to him all the time. In you know, as much as you talk to Eddie Jones, you know, the busiest man in the world.
Sort of one-liners.
We have a conversation. I was trying to come in and do different things with him throughout, but the timetable changes very, very quickly over there. You know, they obviously adapt to see how boys are. You know, they're kind of on the pulse with that stuff. So I was trying to get in for a while, and we spoke, and he said, look, we'd like to come in and take a weight session with the guys, you know, pre-session, because everything's kind of factored in. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to. So I kind of turned up to Penny Hill the night before. Bit sketchy, kind of not so. Sort of bumped into kind of Steve Borthwick. It was great to see him. I kind of met the S&C guy. I pre-prepared something. We went through it all, but they gave me a coach's red polo, right? So I was wearing full coach's stash. But so when I actually saw some of the lads, I mean, Joe Marlock, he get his head round that I was wearing a coach, like a red polo.
You're like an old boy going back to school.
Well, it was, but the best thing was that obviously when I got all the lads around, talking about the session, I was like, listen, don't feel like you have to call me coach, but if you don't, fucking Eddie's going to drop you. So I was fully milking. I absolutely loved it. But do you know what? For me, it was no, but mate. Listen, if you said that anyone would ever hand me a polo shirt with a red polo and I'd have any sort of authority, it would be great. You know, respect my authority.
So you stood up in front of the 2019 England Rugby World Cup squad and said, "I'm taking you on a strength session."
Definitely not a skills session.
That's what he said. Like, thank God we're not fucking doing skills. I might not have skills. I've always had a decent rig. Now I'm fucking retired and a load of cash, so don't worry about it. Probably not a lot of cash, but you know, decent rig at least.
I just sort of went.
Yeah,
how much are we talking here?
You literally could buy and sell me. George Ford's laughing, you'll buy and sell me.
Yeah.
No, I think for me it was quite nice because when it's come to rugby recently, even though we've not been in it, I get a bit down seeing it. You kind of think, oh, you know, I wish I was there. I want to be involved. You see the Saints boys training. You kind of want to be in there. But actually, for me, it was kind of really nice because I came in, saw how fit they were. Great, what an amazing positive atmosphere they had.
Were you genuinely there to strength? Were you there as a sort of a bit of a court jester to kind
of both.
You know, morale officer?
Yeah, I think a bit of both.
Tell a couple of tales and
no, I mean, listen,
invite them all out for sappuccino.
No, I didn't get because it was quite a kind of fleeting visit. I had to do a charity lunch, do a lot of work for charity. Didn't want to talk about it, so I had to go in and out. So I stayed and saw the guys for breakfast. Had a real nice kind of catch up. And the thing with you go into camp like that, it's every 5 seconds you're seeing someone you haven't seen. So it's kind of like, mate, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. It was just really nice for me.
Oh, I'm really pleased.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And do you know what the best thing about it was kind of watching the guys, A, how hard they all seem to be working, B, what great shape they were in.
Who's leading the way? Who did you think, bloody hell?
I just think all of them. Looked great. I thought, you know, like they all look lean, they look fit. I had a good chat with kind of the S&C guys who do an amazing job in terms of what they've done with their training. I think it was really smart. I think, you know, Eddie and his coaching stuff, again, as soon as I got there, was like attention to detail. You know, guys were, you know, I had some of the forwards for like, you know, 15 minutes, taken through a pump session, you know, just get feeling good. You know, the front row come in, they swap out, they're doing kind of all sorts of different drills in between. It was really intense, but I really enjoyed it. So while they were working hard, I was having a chat, you know, obviously getting stick for being in the polo, being stick for being me, stick for having absolutely no rugby skills, all the kind of usual thing. And it was just really enjoyable. And one of the people I saw there that I haven't seen for a while was Manu.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hell, he looks in great shape. Like I was astounded. I have never ever seen him in such good shape, and I've known Manu since he first came on the scene with England. I've been there all the way through, and do you know what? He's leaner as ever been. He looks smaller in as much as Manu looks smaller, but like way leaner.
Yeah.
Just looked.
In fact, he's only 108 kilos.
Yeah,
60.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. So he's gone down there, and he's so
clapping the New Guineas. Thank you very much indeed. That's very kind. We'll take out the empties. Thank you, Anne. That's very kind of you indeed.
Thank you.
Producer to be Ant. Nice to have you on board.
Thanks, Anne.
You do a faster job than Muzzletron.
I hope you do more work. Si, he's not here again.
Si's on holiday.
Again.
Thank you, mate.
Permanent holiday.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I just think it was interesting to look at him and just go body composition wise, going, mate, you look unbelievable. They've got him into the best shape, and if he can stay fit, it was interesting because I saw that. Then I was actually at a wedding. I was at Ollie Phillips's wedding on Saturday, so I missed part of the game, and wanted to see he got man of the match and how he played. The correlation was just quite clear to everyone to see, and I thought, you know, back row boys. I thought Billy looked brilliant. I thought, you know, Tom Curry and Sam Underhill, they look great as well. You know, I like their kind of, you know, Stinkler straight to Underhill, straight back inside to Curry. It was kind of real nice. Marrow's looking real good. Have you done it again?
Yeah, again.
That's absolutely
on
the money. Splitting the harp and the Guinness. That's 3 in a row.
That is 3 in a row. But I was really kind of buoyed by the whole thing. So I think, look, England in a great place. Really interesting to see what happens, because you don't want to peak too early. You don't want to get in there. Obviously, they got the loss against Wales, so there was a few people asking a few questions. To do that to Ireland is pretty mega, albeit whatever stage they're at. But I'm just excited by the atmosphere. I just felt it felt like a really positive place where I've been to other World Cups.
I was going to say, comparing it to 2015.
Mate, completely different. And again, in 2011, completely different. I think, you know,
Tins,
one thing about
welcome to the party. He's back.
Has he done it as well?
Turn to the camera. I'd give yours as a greater dissection of the harp and the Guinness. First sip. Oh my lord!
You've gone big.
Haskell's taken 2/3 of the pint accidentally. But you have to split the harp and the Guinness. Tins, I think you win that round. Ooh, congratulations to you. You go to start.
But I just thought the thing with all the other people is that sometimes when it came 2011, when it came to the World Cup, it was like we made loads of good progress in that tour to Australia, and then the World Cup pressure does something funny things. So everyone panicked and started to reinvent it. I remember on our first day, we did 6 sessions and had run 10K in our first day of pre-season. It's like, what you're doing, you know, and it just continued in that vein. 2011, I think, 2015 was, again, we talked about it last week, incredibly hard working, incredibly well thought out. The issue was that we factored in the game plan and selection plan to win, you know, games that would go on for ages, and we spent so much time on fitness, we didn't ever kind of focus as much on rugby as we should have done. We didn't quite get selection right in that aspect, and I think we had a few problems behind that weren't addressed. And I think, noticing with Eddie, it looked like everything was such military precision, and how well the guys were looking and how good they are. And then to produce the performance like they did, let's not get carried away, but I think they're in a great place. And I've said the hardest thing about retiring, and I probably wouldn't have got anywhere near the team, so for all those people are going to remind me, was that I think this is the best chance we've ever had. And I genuinely believe that we could be right up there. But you know, when you get to Japan, things are very different, I think.
So what's really interesting, I think, about this squad is that your lot in 2003 went into the World Cup as the team to beat, and you were very comfortable with that. That you were the favourites, the front runners. It was you were the number one side. With this England squad, I sort of wonder whether they're looking around and whether they will look around when they get to the tournament and think there's no one here who's actually better than us, as opposed to feeling we are the best. It's a different psychology. So they'll see South Africa and New Zealand, one of them will go down. They'll see Ireland and Scotland, one of them will go down in that opening round. They'll see Wales and Australia. And actually England will then find themselves in a position where they are watching teams that they've beaten, winning games, etc., etc.
I mean, it does. It's a question mark whether it suits them their setup in the fact that they've got Tonga first, then they've got the USA, and then they move on to
France and Argentina.
Is it Argentina first or France?
I think it's France first, then Argentina.
So they're sort of working up. Obviously, France demolished Scotland, but
then Scotland beat them last weekend.
I didn't see that, but apparently it was a bit of a snooze fest,
average,
wasn't it? But I think they've still got a hard group, which will hopefully put them in good stead. But as Has said, it doesn't really matter how you do in the warm-up games, but you obviously want to go in there with winning more than you've lost. You know, you look at Ireland, if they lose to Wales on the weekend, then they're going into the tournament in a shit state, really. Yeah. Whereas, you know, if they can get a win over Wales, especially at the Principality, then you're going in there on a high and you can start off. But it's who hits the ground running. I think at England's performances, obviously Wales at home was fantastic and highlights some of the issues I've had around Wales in terms of if their defence doesn't stack up, they've got not much else and England just ran over them. Whereas in Cardiff, their defence was off the charts.
Yeah, very good.
But their attack was still pretty non-existent, and that's my issue around Wales. Like, before you start hating me about it, it's just an opinion.
But it's not the right opinion because you're not beating Wales up. So,
but as I said to anyone who's ever asked, is I want a Northern Hemisphere team to win it. So, but I want a team also that wins it that I like watching. Yeah. So I don't want to.
So it's England basically.
So there's an extraordinary stat from England, which is in their last. Russ Petty, who we've given a shout out to before.
I actually started following him off the show on the shows I was listening to.
But I think his tweet was that in 8 of the last 10 games England have played, they've scored 32 points or more. In fact, it might even be more than that. But basically, England have gone full Brazil, which is that they are not Brazilian, full Brazil, which is however many you score, will score more. And we've never really had an England team which has been a points machine in that way.
I think rugby as a general has changed.
Yeah.
That I think the old adage of when in 2003 it was like the best defence always wins the World Cup.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think that stacks up now. What I was really positive about England and Manu, my issue around Manu at the end of last season before he got injured for Leicester was his defence was absolutely shocking.
So that was the question going into Saturday.
But then going into Saturday and then watching him make the tracks across field on a cold defence, because if you go back to sort of South Africa, where we were 30 points up and all we did was just fly up and they just figured out you could get over the top and it was just, and then suddenly tries aplenty and obviously Leicester conceded a shed load last year.
Also that fact as well, I think is Villy Leroux as well with that, because he was when he was playing against England, you know, when he was playing for Wasps, he used to literally stand, because we tried to spread forwards across the field. Yeah. He would prime himself waiting for those guys to fly up. He'd get the over the ball and he would either outside break himself or just lob it over the top. So that he's kind of a bit of a key to South Africa doing that, I think.
So I just thought England were in a very good place. Thought Ireland were poor, but I think that mainly comes because their game didn't succeed, their kicking game didn't really succeed, and then their lineouts failed in key points. But I thought they both went after each other's lineouts, which was good to see. We came out on top of that. Maro was outstanding at the front, and then even though they messed up a few of our lineouts, we always got it back. But then once we just looked comfortable, and I say our set piece strikes, whether they'd done homework on what they were going to do, but
there was a phase, I think, in second half, sort of 50 to 65 minutes, where it honestly just looked like England were going through their playbook. They found field position, played a set piece move, and were just scoring off everything. It was utterly extraordinary.
But when it works like that, and you've got
how much of that's down to the Ford Farrell?
See, I still like Manu and Slade, but I would just put Slade at 12. The problem is, in the Six Nations with Slade at 13 and Manu on the inside, I thought Manu ended up getting lost. I know everyone raved about him, but I didn't. I just thought he didn't get the ball where he wants the ball. He wants the ball with people who don't really want to tackle him, whereas if he's running into forwards, they know that they have to make those tackles, and that's their job to make those tackles. Where if he's running at a 10, like Bundyaki's thinking, well, I've got to make sure if he gets the ball, I've got to be able to dive in here and help him out. And I just think he's far more of a threat. And then Slade has to figure out his way of being that second ball player, because I think he's a better runner than both Ford and Farrell in the open, and quicker and a little bit more elusive. So I think that might be a way to test out, just swap them around. Or I don't mind if you swap positions.
You play Farrell, Slade, Manu.
I also quite like it with you got Cock and Singer there as well, because normally in the team you've got kind of one unit, and just playing against France, you've got all these units, but what you want is those big units getting your hands on the ball. There's no point. That's why I thought with Big T at
Naivoro.
I was going to say it, all right. Relax.
Big T.
You know, he went to university, Farquhar. And the very fact that, I think he was one of those guys that was waiting on the wing all the time. It's like you want those guys to go and look for the ball, because it's so disruptive that, especially if you've got Manu running lines, you're looking at him, and then Joe suddenly appearing on those short balls, those inside balls. When you've got forwards who can tip and play, it really unlocks your defence. And I always think these big units, you need them looking for the ball and working so hard.
I sat down with Rory Best at the Open,
but that was fun.
He was actually all right.
He's such a boy. I love him.
And he was saying, because I'd obviously sort of immediately went in with the defensive. I hope you don't hate me for what I've said about Ireland.
Did he call it up? Did it come across his radar? Or was what are you talking about?
Great accent.
Thanks, pal.
He sort of said, look, I think that was a good eye opener in terms of it allowed Johnny to go to Schmidt and sort of say, look, we need to expand things a bit. So I'm just wondering whether they still might be trying to work on that, but hiding it behind closed doors and waiting.
If any coach in World Rugby keeps his cards firmly sellotaped to his chest, it would be Joe Schmidt.
But look, what I'm most surprised about with it, and I think where there's got to be where you wouldn't count against Ireland, is that asking all the Irish players, Joe Schmidt's attention to detail apparently is insane.
Off the scale. He's normally, whenever I've met him, unbelievably nice, polite, really interesting guy. He's had documents some family issues and stuff, which must be impossible, which must be so hard to run an international team with the level of detail he does and balance your family. So hats off to him. I think it's mega. It's interesting, the attention to detail thing that stuff like that would happen, and you've got to factor in that actually there is probably stuff going on backwards and forwards.
You're watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness.
Curry and Underhill.
I think they're a great pairing because Sam obviously just ends people in that tackle when he's on form, and kind of can.
They're quite quirky characters.
Yeah.
So Sam apparently has done a 1,000-piece puzzle of.
Yeah, listen,
say Buckingham Palace, but I don't know that's true.
And I'm not speaking out of turn because I'm friends with both of them. They're not, I'd say they're slightly socially challenged. Okay, let's put it this way. They could not be any more different than me in terms of my personality. So if you gave me if you gave me an arrogant extrovert gobshite, then they are the complete opposite. They're not librarians, but they're quite quiet.
Dedicated?
Dedicated. And I think
devoted.
What's interesting actually though is that I got you know, with Sam again, you know, you get like everyone players get stick and everything like that, but you know, his kind of playing does the talking from, you know, it doesn't matter if he's, you know, the life and soul of the party. He's an incredible player, actually a really good, really lovely guy. But I think, you know, it was like Tom Curry is someone that I didn't really know. I was kind of in and out of the squad when he was there. But he came to actually a DJ gig when I was at Bournemouth, and kind of it was really nice because
the Sevens?
Yeah, and Chloe and him and his mate were kind of backstage, and just I think Chloe's a great judge of character, and she was like, he's so nice, he's lovely,
great judge of character.
Yeah, she likes you, like she thinks so. So and I just really bonded with him. I thought, what a guy. Actually, it's been really nice to kind of develop that friendship, albeit, you know, we're not in competition. I was never a position hater, so even if I'd been in the squad, I was always, you know, tried to get on with Sam or Mark and Billy and whatever, and Tom. And I think, you know, I think they're both really good players. I think, you know, the way they kind of put themselves, the way they train is with real intensity, and I think that they're a great pairing. I feel sorry for, as I said, for Mark Wilson, because he's been a standout player for England in that back row in that autumn internationals, and I think for a part in that part, you know, in the Six Nations, I think he's not the most glamorous bloke in terms of my perception of him beforehand, but he did nothing wrong and everything right as far as I'm concerned. So I think he's been unlucky not to be, you know, not to be involved. I think again, you know, Lewis kind of had his opportunities. He was given the week off, but to see Tom and Sam come together, actually, I love that linking play try.
Lovely.
It's just really nice.
Sinclair with a little tip on.
I know, and I thought that was great.
He's had that all through the Six Nations.
Yeah.
I thought he was outstanding in the Six
But
Nations.
actually, England's offloading game
on the weekend was outstanding.
It was amazing.
15 offloads.
But it was amazing watching Eddie Jones. You can really see what he's done in the 3 games. And going into the Ireland game, he said, right, we're going to play with a bit more width. We want to get the ball through the hands a bit more. And the forwards was like Harlem Globetrotters.
You know, the thing with it is that when you look at England, you know, when Mako's fit and when Billy's fit, you know, those guys take a majority of the ball carries, right? But if you're a team and you're analysing it, you know kind of where the ball's going, and these guys are getting 10, 15, 20 carries a game. You know, the one issue you've had in the back row in the past was being able to share the load of the forward pack. I think Marrow's now, and has been for a while, is carrying. You know, and he's putting that, and he's getting
nice line for the try.
Yeah, and
high knees,
mate, unbelievable high knees. You want to tackle that, like full Mr. Gilmore. That's Mr. Gilmore's jacket he's running through. But I think
the self reason why not to lower the tackle height. You just get one of those knees.
Horrific. So I think he's, you know, stepped up. I think Billy obviously does what he does so well. But actually, if you look at some of the stuff before when Sam was playing on the end of these Carl Sinclair tips, making those yards, you know, Tom Curry. When I first met him, I was kind of shocked at how big he is.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
His trunk
is
enormous.
I mean, he's
but you think...
His trunk.
But as a, what is it, 19, 20... he's probably 21 now, but like as a 21, he's a... Like,
mate, he's bigger and tougher than you think he is. And actually, interesting enough, talking to guys about S&C, about who's progressed and who's kind of gone strength. You know, I think Sam, him, those boys are right up there. And I think if you put a team together where you've got Billy as a threat, so you've got, you know, Mako, who's fit, threat, you've got Marrow now carrying, you've got Joe carrying, you've got Manu carrying, and you've got the other guy. You suddenly start, as defensively, start thinking what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or and you've got ability like Stinkler, who runs the naughtiest line. I told you about that line where he ran
every time, baby.
When he runs a mega line, just goes. He'll literally shout from the other side of the field. Just hear like, "Dan it!" Like Lenny. Youngsie, I'm here, and then run just an absolute mega line, and he did it in the Lions. He ran through just like fuck the ball up in the air every time, baby. It's like, it's not NFL, bro. You've got to finish the try. So I think with those combinations, it works really nicely. But I think, look, you know, whatever. I think the back row in England at the moment is in a really good place.
I want to talk 2 people not playing rugby, but who definitely deserve some airtime. Christian Wade.
Oh my goodness.
What is the crack with him at the moment? Obviously, he scored that amazing touchdown. Then he did that
65 metres, 45 metres
catch. Yeah. But he can't play.
No, he can. This is the big misnomer, big bullshit that's going on.
Okay.
So.
I only read that the other day.
No, so we talked about it on the show, and we were like, we talked about his pros and cons.
Doesn't sound very NFL.
He's obviously absolutely
Have you covered this already?
No. We talked, when you asked me when Christian Wade had signed, we did a show all about it, talking about him. And everything else. We talked about his size being an issue, what was going to do. So, I obviously have been supporting, you know, kind of avidly watching him absolutely kill it. The thing is, he's always able to play. The difference he has is that he's guaranteed a 2-year deal, right? So if he doesn't do anything,
he's got $1 million in the back pocket.
He'll stay. No.
Yes, it is.
No, that doesn't work that way.
I've read the wrong article as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, he's on
a practice squad.
Yeah, guaranteed. So he's 2 years guaranteed.
practice squad.
But if they activate him,
that's the
they can
international.
activate him this year and he can play.
Yeah.
So the point is, everyone assumed...
That's what I thought it was, and then I read something.
No. So everyone assumed that because he's on this European transfer thing, that 2 years practice squad, he couldn't play if he was on fire. If they choose to activate him, he can. But also, if they don't, another team can come in and activate him. So what they're talking about now, if you've seen any of the coverage and stuff, is they were like, Christian Wade first week, shout out to him. And they were like, next week, we're like, oh my God, he's doing it again. People talk about this, and if they don't pick him up, if the Buffalo Bills don't pick him up, another team will come in and activate him. The only issue I think
activating means getting picked in the 53-man squad.
Yes. The only issue with him is apparently at the Buffalo Bills there's 8 other running backs.
Yeah, and
so he's getting
two of them are basically led the league for the last couple of years. Well, one of them's got the most. One of them's had the most running yards last year or something, and then the other's got the most career running yards.
But the issue is that it's so doing what he's doing. It's in practice. If you ever watch Hard Knocks, and I say it's running route. It's like running routes. It's like getting the practice. There's 8 of them. He's actually not getting that much exposure. Yeah. So what he's doing is even more incredible because he's obviously so far down the pecking order that these guys are running, there's 2 starters are running all the plays. He might get every 5th, 6th one running the route, doing it, then rest.
And if he fucks up once, they won't give him another run.
Yeah, and that's what he's getting. So then he's coming on for 2 first touches, has absolutely killed it. And it's that remarkable.
So how basically pre-seasons normally go is they'll play. Some first stringers might not even play any pre-season games. They'll just get wrapped up in cotton wool. So your second teamers. So it'll be a mix of first and second teamers in your first quarter, second quarter. Then third and fourth is where you bring your third strings, fourth strings, and then obviously he scored that touchdown in the 4th string. But still, you've got to make plays. That's all he can do, and he's made that play. And then same in when he caught that catch. And the good thing is, I think what they look at, not claiming that I know loads of things about the NFL, but when he caught that pass and then broke tackle, breaking tackles, they always have the stat yards after the catch. And he's obviously broke that tackle and then gone downfield another 40 yards.
But also with that, interesting enough, if you watch Christian, when he breaks those tackles, that's mega to do it. And to catch the ball, one of the best things about when he played 15s was that he was able to sidestep without slowing down. So he does that little shimmy, goes to the tackles, and then he actually broke infield because he's not used to having blockers. If he'd stepped on the outside and used his blockers, he would have scored a touchdown in the corner.
He'd have had a wide receiver blocking on his inside.
And that's the thing. That's the little nuances that you don't necessarily... I mean, I actually know what NFL and I do rugby, but that's the little nuances that you don't pick up on. And it's like, that's what he'll get better at. But to be honest with you, what he's doing under so little practice is amazing. And he looks like he's having the time of life.
He looks more and more American. He's got the old Wesley Snipes little thing.
It also looks like he's gone in there and his fellow teammates love him, because that was the amazing thing, was the whole thing of, and how many people came up to him, the fact that he didn't know that he had to leave the field almost when he was going ballistic, but then everyone on the touchline was going mad
as well. You see the arc of his run with the touchdown. He was like naturally make the conversion.
Wadey, what people didn't realise about Wadey, because he's quite a quiet character, he's like a folk hero in so many teams. He actually, in that Lions thing we did it with his afro cone. That was interesting. He did that and everyone was like, what a boy. First thing Stuart Lancaster did when he came in was bollock him and told him he didn't like that setup. Well, the rest of us like, what a fucking hero! Like, what a guy! So he got told to say that was a bit of a sketchy start for him with the under Lancaster's regime. But from my perspective, every team you go to, everybody loves Wadey, and he's like a cult hero. He used to literally bowl round with his Beats pill, just playing tunes everywhere he goes. He's like the atmosphere. He looked like he didn't care.
Always
smiling, and so caring, but would absolutely smash it. So I could not be more pleased for him.
Go, you good thing, go, Christian Wade. And,
these mats are really annoying.
They are really
every time they get up.
We have to also just talk about Sir Benjamin Stokes, because why not?
Fair play.
Do you want to talk about where you were watching it?
No, not really.
Okay.
It's probably highly illegal.
Just as an elite sportsman watching an elite sportsman go to work.
I mean, look, I've watched it. I was sort of semi-listening to it, but then sat down and had to watch the whole 76 runs, of which he scored 75 or whatever it was. And it was just incredible. And it's quite interesting then reading the article about Leachy when he came in. He literally got told what to do.
Yeah.
Get through this over, first over, his
5
first over.
5 and 1.
And then I'll do the rest. And literally Tonkin sixes and...
But what turnaround as well for him as a bloke, though.
Have you had... Go on, sorry.
Well, I'm just saying for a Stoke, like, for all that stuff he had to do what he did in the World Cup, And
so
then
twice in 6 weeks
I know.
is...
And then just to kill it like that, I think it's so great. I think it just shows the power of his character. I think obviously what he is in that changing room, how they all love him. I love his like Instagram captions like "fuck" brackets. I know I'll probably get fined this. I love Test cricket or whatever. I just think that's awesome for me. And Jofra Archer as well, like doing what he did in that sort of thing, and the way he's just been absolutely battering them. But the best bit all this week was that Nathan Lyons, that obviously probably one of the biggest gobshites ever.
Yeah.
Right, and I've obviously a pretty big gobshite, but you know, if you live by the sword, you've got to die by the sword. I love Shane Warne coming out and like, you know, giving it to. It's like, Shane, you want to just fucking relax, mate. Like, it's a bit of heat. Like, if you can't take it, then don't give it out. And Lyons the same thing, like getting all upset because he fumbled that thing.
Well, that was Goffey. Goffey obviously knows Lyons, and literally on TalkSport on Monday was literally. And Nathan Lyons, you gobshite, talk all this. You dropped the ball, mate. You basically dropped the Ashes. And I was just like, it's one of those things. They talk about how brutal banter is in cricket. Clearly, they don't mind getting into each other. And yeah, you know. I think we rode our luck, but we like the way he was playing, he deserved to ride.
But also, listen, even if we went on to lose it, whatever, it
would have still been a great innings.
You know, it'd still be great. It'd still be a great thing. And I think
if they had given him out LBW.
But also, if you look, because you know, did you see the headlines? My favourite was in the Australian headlines. You know, third test, all important. Stokes is out, so it doesn't matter. And it's like, what? You can't. Like, what other press in the world would get away with doing that? We would never do that because we're too polite. We like hating our own sports people, which is a fact, by the way. But you know, they love
actual fact.
The actual fact. That's a fact. You can
Only
Google
once
that.
you've built them up to the top of their game.
Yeah. What you know, pump the tyres up and then mug them off and burn the whole place down, claim that the whole thing's rotten inside out.
And then ideally build them back up again.
Yeah. It's like I told you, there was that time that Retallick, you know, we got interviewed for pre-England versus New Zealand, and they went, so, you know, who are you most looking forward to playing against your second row partnership? And he went, Michael Laws, right? So our English press were like, boy, you know, the old character of the New Zealand guy, you know, could get his name right, all is forgiven. Yeah. Right? I guarantee if I went,
Well, no, it's like when Ben Cohen went, Shane who?
Yeah. Sam Burgess did...
and he actually just didn't hear who the guy said.
He's still short hearing, isn't he? But if I did that, imagine I went, oh, God,
Scott who?
Really excited to play that Colin Retallick. English arrogance, doesn't even know All Blacks. Like, that's what our press would do us in the eye. But with them, it's just character building and a bit of fun.
That's what Dan Carter admitted after he played Scotland once. He was asked in the pre-game press conference, you know, what do you think of your opposite number? And he's like, I'm worried about all of them, to be honest with you. It's I spread the load.
At least he did it in a way where I can't get done.
I did
sidestep.
I did a Q&A post an All Blacks game once with Israel Dag and Corey Jane, and I promise to God, and they're lovely people, legends of the game,
had no idea.
Had fucking no idea about anyone. And that, do you know what I took from it? Not arrogance. I took from it.
Focus on your own game.
Exactly what I took from it. I said, why do we, as an English team or as anyone, spend so much time worrying about the opposition, learning them, or being so respectful? These boys, it's like they've never even seen a tape. They spent all week working on themselves. So I was personally, I'm always bitter when lads get away with shit like that. When I'm like, oh, if I did that, I'd be dust. But the second thing was, all they're worried about is themselves and running through the moves. And that's all, when we go back to meetings, they're like, well, we're playing the All Blacks this week, we're going to do the haka, and they're going to do this. It's like, can we just not bother about worrying about what they're going to do and just absolutely be awesome at what we're going to do?
Make sure that we're good at what we do.
Yeah. A bit like Saban. Just before we get to this week's Perfect Port, a couple of shout-outs. First things first, Tins and I, and you were wearing some very smart Help for Heroes shirts, which are available to purchase for any Help for Heroes fans out there. All funds going to a very good cause. You do Rugby for Heroes.
Yep.
Different branding, same purpose?
Yep, helping military.
Helping the military. Everyone likes to help the military. Looking very smart indeed. These are available to purchase next week. Do you want to tell a little bit about the merchandise?
Yeah, so the merchandise, we have taken many hours to design it, and we've now got a variation of T-shirts, vests.
And as you can see from this one, all you can see is teeth.
Yeah, very much so. If these get knocked out in Bellator, will be doing me a favour. So it's not a problem. Cheapest entry I'll ever have.
I think the disappointment about that is that they've gone with the image of you wearing your sunglasses as opposed to the one of you in the scrum cap, which is when you gave the I'm a serious operator quote.
Yeah, can I just talk about it though? So what we're going to do with this, and I don't want to put words into Joe's mouth, but actually what we're going to do is we're going to do a limited run of each of these merchandise because they should have that pride of place. We don't want every Tom, Dick and Rugby Nose walking around with them because frankly, that's weird. So we're just going to give a selection out to people, and then once it's done, it's done.
Okay, it is time for our perfect pour. This week, our weekly test in 119.5 seconds, because that's how long it takes to pour the perfect pint of Guinness. What is to go this week? It is
looking forward to Haskell on this.
Who would you back in a Bellator cage? Haskell, you haven't even started, so there's a piece of paper and a pen. Tins, would you like to kick us off, please?
Okay.
1:15.
1. And apologies to all front row nosers. I don't know loose heads and tight heads, so I've just picked names. Case Muse.
Because?
Actually, no, Julian White, because I know he is a tighty. Would be,
so it'd be 3.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Word. So Case Muse, stuff.
International World Cup winner.
Yeah.
And with
still gets confused around righty-tighty and loosey lefties. Case Muse.
Because?
Basically is like the mafia of New Zealand. And Reuben Thorne, also known as the suitcase, because he got carried around in the New Zealand team. He was being a little bit of a pain in the butt one night out, and Case Muse basically just looked at him and gave him the nod to sit down, and he sat down with no words spoken. So I imagine he's
tough.
Tough. I've got 2. I'm going to go with.
Who's your hooker?
I'm going to go with Graham Dorr.
Horrible.
Graham biggest hands in world rugby.
Graham Dorr once came in to do an English scrummaging session and was just so gnarly. And his hands, it was like they were like
going in various directions.
Yeah, they were like spiral, like corkscrews, massive sausage mitts just for ripping and tearing.
Julian White would be my other prop.
As hard as everyone says he was.
Just ridiculous. He was called Dino for Mark Regan called him Dino Bab because he was literally like hitting a dinosaur. Literally, you could punch him in the face as hard you want. You didn't even notice. He said to me once. He said to me, We were talking about what's your ideal game, and he basically said, "Well, I don't touch the ball and I just hit some boom."
Right.
So yeah,
in it to win it.
In at 4, his best mate, Danny Grucock.
Strong.
Literally serial killer / black belt in karate / absolute madman. 5, Brad Thorne.
Good shout.
Pretty similar to Danny Grucock.
Great voice as well.
Yeah.
Voice way down in decibels. Good. Anyway, keep going. Yep. Super stuff.
6, Carl Fern. I've all seen him knock someone out on
CCTV.
On
CCTV, yeah, like that.
Yeah. 7, Andy Hazel.
Good. Google
if
Gloucester
you
against
Mont de Massin. And you'll see him acting like a prehistoric ape who's battering someone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Hazy, I know that you hate that, but you did it.
You do the crime, you've got to do the time.
Well, exactly. 8, I did write Buck Shelford, but then I've gone Henry Tuolangi, because basically...
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, basically.
One ball Buck Shelford. Scrotum ripped over in Nantes in 1986.
Yeah. So he got stamped on his scrotum.
They ripped open his testes.
Yeah, the same joke.
They went off.
Yeah, same as Joe, but he carried on playing. He just put a new pair of pants on.
They taped him back up. They popped gaffer tape round his bollocks, popped his shorts back on, and went back out to play.
Fucking hell. Yeah, but is that clever or just stupid?
It shows commitment to the cause.
I remember when the first time I got like a cut and they want to put like 6 stitches in it. I ran off and they're like, "Oh, we do a set." I was like, "Just do it." And I was halfway through doing it and I was like, "Ow, this is just really painful." And then I came back on. I was like, it just opened up again. I was like, "I bloody love rugby, but I'm not sure there's that tough about it." By the time it was like re-stitched open, I was like, I don't understand. I've kind of been really tough because I got stitched up without it, but I've also been a complete moron.
It's like Jono in the 97 Living with Lions. Just put some stitches in it. It goes straight back out.
Well, they staple gun my head, didn't they, after my first Lions game? So the first time I played in the midweek, I was lifting someone and some muppet, classic fucking second row, just elbowed me in the top head, just split my head open. And the Irish doctor, great guy, was like, "Oh, we'll just put some staples in that." I was like, "Fucking hell, these Irish are mental." Like, what does he mean staples? Like, stitches? What do they call staples?
Office supplies.
Yeah. So I rolled in and he was like that. He goes, "Oh yeah, we'll need to do that." And he pulled out a staple gun. He just went, bam, 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 stapled my head, put a bit of tape around it, sent me out. I was like, fucking, unbelievable.
We're going to keep going.
9, Byron Kelleher.
Good.
Very
now
loose
speaks English.
as a goose.
In a Kiwi accent, twanged with French. Very hard to keep up with what it is he's trying to say.
10, Byron Heywood. Played for Gloucester. 10, absolute legend. Used to be a boxer. Famous story about him and Chad Eagle, who used to play rugby. Chad Eagle tried to start on him within a second, Byron Heywood had hit him about 15 times, and Chad Eagle was lying on the floor, and he leaned over him and went, "Chad Eagle, more like spread eagle."
You can't buy that.
Get that guy on the show. Get him on the show.
11, Liam Williams, the scaffolding scrapper.
Yeah.
12, gone similar, Kevin Maggs, the flagstone fighter. Hard as nuts. Which nuts? 13, Dricko, obviously beat up Austin on that Lions tour, but he'd be very much put up your dukes. Queensbury. 14, no idea how hard he is, but Simon Gagan, because if he'd probably try and throw a punch against you and he'd hit you with his knee or his ankle.
Buxton, on that basis, we should get Peter Buxton in there.
Literally, Peter Buxton would cripple you without knowing it by accident. And then at 15, I've gone Brian Lima, the chiropractor.
Strong. Did you ever get chiropractic?
He chiropracted me once, Bath versus... was it Bath or was it Gloucester? Gloucester versus Bristol when he was about 52. And I made a line break and it was a 2-on-1.
Wait,
and one way you
stop
think
me there. That's a lie. You didn't make a line break, bro.
I did.
Yeah.
Maybe it was an offload.
Yeah.
And I went through, it was 2-on-1. I thought about dummying it. I was like, no, he'll definitely tackle me. What I didn't know is he literally turned me inside out and put me on my head. But we scored, so in my winded state where you try not to act injured, I was like, mate, we still scored.
Good shot.
No, I just went, mate, we still scored.
Right, Hoff, you've done this in 30 seconds.
Right, okay, so it's not a great start. The first one was that prop that banged out Tom Young's, used to play for Northampton Saints,
Celeste
Marfu, okay.
He didn't actually bang out Tom Young's.
No, Tom Young's rode that punch incredibly well, but it was just a naughty little uppercut. I think Brian Moore, purely because he's just, I reckon he's like a Komodo dragon. If he bit you, you just die 3 days later of some bacterial infection. He's a raving lunatic.
Yeah, I think he would rely on that.
Yeah,
I don't think he's got much behind him.
I don't think he's got much behind him at all. I think it's because his eyes revolve in his head. He looks mental that you think he is.
I think he'd just bore you to death.
Yeah, potentially. But I just reckon he'd latch onto you. He'd just bite you and you wouldn't be able to get him off. Leota.
Keep going.
I think Trevor Leota. Trevor Leota just because he's a machine. Julian White because he knocks people out for fun. I had Martin Johnson just because, again, the stories of the old Leicester days, and also
knocking out Lewis,
just punching people, and also those Leicester boys back in the day just hit first, ask questions later.
That's why his nose was being worn around his ear for many years.
Absolute sausage fingers as well, big leather mitts, Jono. Shawsey, the strongest human being I've ever met, 6'9".
He'd definitely be a grappler,
mate. He would, if he got you. And you can keep you. There's no escape.
It'd be like one of those Gracies. He'd be in.
Do you know what his thing is? He would get you from behind, bare hug you, snap your spine.
Keep going.
Number 6, Chris Chesney. Right, he was at. He's now a close protection officer. He's 134 kgs of lethalness. Number 7, Chris Alafaya.
Good shout.
What an absolute machine. Gareth Delve. Dad was a boxer. He was a boxer.
Yes.
So handy. He's again one of those things where you see these like fights online, rugby fights, and it's normally just an absolute shambles or some late Judas come and kicks you in the head. He's the one there where people are throwing punches. He's slipping punches, moving and just banging people out, and they're like piling up as he's on the back foot. Number 9, Pete Richards. Only scrum half of the cauliflower ear. Used to smoke 20 tabs a day. Horrific bloke, arm guard. I remember, we used to do under Gatland, the old offload drill, minute drill, Pete Richards. So minute drill was 3 guys in suits, 3 guys in suits, 3 guys in suits. You work as a group. Pete Richards would be in there, forearming, smoking people, offload drill, just picking contact, crash balling, horrible. Did me in the throat once that with an elbow. I fucking thought I was going to die. I just hit the deck. I was like, and he's like, sorry, Haskell, just flicks a fag in my face and walks off. 10, Carlos Spencer. I think... Mate, unbelievable rig on him. I reckon he's got some talent. Apparently, he's quite handy as well.
Okay, fair play.
Number 11, Elvis Severlihi.
Severlihi.
How to pronounce it. Same thing. Apparently, really lovely bloke.
Nicest guy in the world.
But the switch, again, you're burying people. Number 12, Sam Tuatupo, just a human weapon. He hit me so hard once that he sent me into postcard. I'm talking about another show where I made a line break, unbelievably, when I used to be able to be a bit more mobile. Got a ball off Richard Burkett, thought, this is my moment, ran. He hit me from behind, the side, knocked me fucking that way, lobbed the ball on the floor, like folded up dead. I was like, John Wells did the analysis, was like, what could you have done better there? I was like, nothing, John. No, there's nothing in the world that could have done better. Like, could have held on to the ball, been more tough. I was like, You get hit by Sam Tuatupo and see how fucking clever you are when you didn't even see it coming. Not that I'm bitter, John.
We should get John on the show.
We should actually. Please come on it. I'll absolutely love you. I actually learnt more from him about back row stuff and attention to detail than any other coach ever.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Break his fingers.
I wasn't part of that repertoire. That was just a quiet Tuesday morning. Manu, I mean, the punches he landed on Chris Ashton were enough to kill anyone.
Well, surely he doesn't get in there. He doesn't.
No.
Or does Ashley get in
play,
there?
Ashley's like Homer Simpson, where his whole defence is just taking punches, and he's like until he gets against Ellis Genge, whatever his name. What's his Dredrick Tatum?
Yeah.
Or aka Ellis Genge, right? Dredrick Tatum. I mean, pretty much. Ashley should be in there until he got to anyone who knew what he was doing. But he took so many punches that his head should have caved in. Manu, I mean, he's one of those, if you ask the boys, they're quite unassuming. When you've got 5 brothers that are the size of minibuses with faces and you're bottom of the pecking order, you know that when they're over in Samoa, they're doing a bit of scrapping. So he knows what he's doing. Josh Lucy, horrible bloke. Horrible. Like, he hit
to play against or just.
No. Lovely guy, but he's one of those people that you'd have to shoot him in the face to stop him coming. He would eyes gouging, horrible.
Responsible for one of my worst nose breaks in rugby.
Yeah. Is that right?
Mate, he's,
just full on. Caught me full smash in the face.
Mate, he's terrible. He knocked out Sippy so hard that Sippy was out for 6 minutes. And when he woke up, I thought he'd done his ankle again. He was on the floor. He didn't wake up. He was snoring. And when he woke up, he honestly didn't know his name or where he'd been or anything. So Josh, horrible. And then I had 15 Liam Williams. A, because I said the first game I played against him. I didn't know who he was. Didn't know what, hadn't really paid attention. Carried the ball. He tackled me, got up, elbowed me in the head, jabbed me, kicked me. All right, boy, you fucking prick. I was like, so, what are we doing here? And after the game, I said, mate, you're right. And he's like, yeah, you want someone's like, no, relax. And then subsequently I got no on the line, so I recounted the story and he was like, yeah, mate, I've been scaffolding 2 weeks earlier. I've been like, I'd gone from whatever Welsh division it was to there. I thought that's how they played the game, because obviously in Wales lower divisions it's all a bit tasty.
Yeah.
So it took them a while to adjust that you couldn't tread, headbutt, elbow, stamp on someone. So that's my team. And I think I've turned that around in 30 seconds. I'm pretty impressed.
Well done.
30 minutes. I'm going to fly. Well, I've been told to move on, but I just want for the culture vultures out there. Robert Paparan board is back on my loose head.
God.
Brian Moore, Richard Lowe, Rodburn Cudmore in my second row, Jerry Collins at 6, Jason Forster
Jerry
at 7.
Nice.
Tough nut. Issa Tolamaka at 8.
Yeah.
Mike Phillips at 9, Henry Hunnable at 10, and I've built the backline around the Tuolangis. Freddie Tuolangi at 11, Sonny Bell at 12, Manu at 13, Alassana Tuolangi at 14. And JPR at 15 for those
Do you know what I like about your teams and all that
There's
stuff?
a whiff of culture and the old
it's
school.
so niche. It's like when Vickerman last week put in Keith Wood into our team about our absolute banter team. It's like, I'm sure in 1945 it was a great thing.
That's it for this week on House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our very good friends at Guinness. A quick reminder that you can download or watch Liquid Football with Kelly Cates from all the same places you get your House of Rugby. On yesterday's episode, Wayne Bridge explained how to get a double bonus out of Roman Abramovich. Very special episode of TKO coming out on Thursday as well. Carl Frampton back for the first time since the disastrous injury in Philadelphia. I'll be able to give you a tip or two. He and Chris Lloyd will be joined by the legendary 87-year-old promoter Bob Arum, Muhammad Ali's promoter, no less. You've come across him?
No, never met him, but I've read a lot of things about him.
Ledge of the ring. And possibly the best boxer on the planet, Vasily Lomachenko.
What a boy!
I'm quite looking forward to that fight.
Yeah, I watch him on.
Is it this Saturday?
Yes.
I watch him on.
Is it this Saturday?
His highlights.
This Saturday.
If you don't know what
it
we're
is
talking
this
about,
Saturday,
Lomachenko, watch him on YouTube. He honestly does stuff that you wouldn't think is possible, and it's like he's in front of you, and then my best bit is he disappears underneath people with movement, and he's punching him in the back of the head just to remind the guy where he is.
I watched that fight against Krella. Is it?
Yeah, Anthony Crolla.
Crolla. I was just like,
Wowza.
He's got no chance.
So
he's covered up and he's thrown a punch at the front, and then he's over at the side just
the movement, mate,
and then he's back inside. He's thrown it up his guts. It was like,
we've gone way over time, but God, it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back.
Make it longer. Make it longer version.
Welcome home. Thank you for listening. We are back next week. See you soon.
You've been watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.